遅えんだナルト。
Up until this point on this channel, I've never talked about anything other than anime, and I want to change that today. I recently had figured out about this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, The Last Ronin. It seemed really awesome. I looked into it, and there's one turtle alive. Everybody else is dead. It's 30 years in the future, and immediately I was hooked. I went ahead and got the last copy of the director's cut of the first issue off of Amazon, and I loved every second of reading it. The original concept was created back in 1987, and it was really cool how they split up the turtles. Raph had somehow gotten into a fight with Splinter and nearly killed him, so he and Donnie went to Japan to live out Splinter's final days. And then Mikey and Leo ended up becoming even more exaggerated versions of themselves, in the sense that Leo was getting more and more serious, Mikey was getting more and more goofy, and they all eventually drifted apart, never to see each other again, until Casey ended up being killed by something, and he had given this warning about something big that was going to happen, that was going to basically destroy everything. And so April has to find a way to figure out how to bring all the turtles back, right? So she ends up finding this machine that has some doctor's brain trapped in it. He was planning on staying there for 1,000 years, but she went ahead and woke him up so that he could contact telepathically all the turtles to let them know that they're going to have to come back together. And that's basically all that we had found out from the notes that they gave us in the director's cut. There's more, like at the end of when you're reading the original script concept, it continues on. Like, there's not even a period at the end. It continues on to another page, but that's about all we get, is everything I just told you. But regardless, I really hope that they give us all the other original concepts, because it was really interesting. I like how they adapted it to the times now, because I don't really think that it would make as much sense for something like Raph to basically nearly kill Master Splinter. The way that they did it in this story was fantastic. They ended up having it to where Master Splinter had gotten attacked by the Foot Clan after they had met a truce.
Do you smell it? That smell. The kind of smelly smell. A smelly smell that smells smelly.
And then Raph goes on a rampage. He goes and kills like a whole legion of Foot Clan, goes and ends up killing all these Foot Clan ninja, and then gets into a skirmish with this girl. They end up killing each other simultaneously underwater, and it's so beautiful of a scene. I'm telling you, there's only 2 issues out right now, but I swear it's my favorite TMNT story already. I've read the original run, not all of it, but decent majority, and that was fantastic, but I like it more than that. I just acquired the volume 1 of the IDW collection, and while I haven't gotten too far into it, it's still just such a masterpiece that it's gotta be my favorite, including through, different medias, like different TV shows and stuff. I think the only thing that comes close to this is the couple episode series of the TMNT anime, actually, that they turn into Power Rangers, basically. They're basically Power Ranger Ninja Turtles, and it's kind of awesome. It's in a similar vein to this, except it's a lot more gritty and realistic in terms of having been set in the timeline of a Ninja Turtle story that isn't, completely out the wazoo. So yeah, just a really, really good story. Raph, of course, like I said, he's the first to die, and not surprising at all. I was talking to somebody about this who isn't really a nerd, doesn't really follow much about comics and stuff like that, and I was talking to her and I was explaining part of the story, and she was like, oh wait, hold on, let me guess who dies first, who's the last one. She got both of them correct. Okay, Raph dies first, Mikey's the last one alive. Oh yeah, also Mikey's the last one alive. It's amazing. Any single one of them that they would have choose to be the last one alive would have made sense, but I think this makes the most sense. He's the youngest. If you like watch the original cartoon, he's always the one out going doing solo missions, other than Raph, you know, of course, when he gets angry and does his thing, but he usually brings Casey along for stuff like that. Plus, Raph is he's too aggressive and he's really just too hot-headed to have lasted longer than everybody else, especially when there's a figure in the story who was the person who killed all the brothers, right? Basically, the first issue starts out and Mikey's running around the city, infiltrating, fighting different Foot Clan robots, finally gets to the tower where the grandson rather, of Shredder is waiting in the tower, and Mikey is almost there. He's really close. He makes it through waves and waves of different Foot Ninja and Foot Robot, and he ends up fighting these Mousers, and then this big ol' souped up Mouser comes out of nowhere, tackles him out of a building. I think it's like 150 stories or something like that, maybe 200. I don't remember it exactly, but he ends up taking a fall all the way from there to the ground, somehow ends up surviving enough to crawl into a sewer. He ends up laying out all of his weapons, all of his brother's weapons, all of their headbands, lays out Master Splinter's book, right? And he's about to commit seppuku. Sorry if I butchered that word, but he ends up trying to do that. He ends up passing out from probably blood loss, or maybe just even physical trauma, whatever it may be. He ends up passing out, and April's daughter, Casey Jones, ends up actually being the one to find him, and she ends up bringing him to April. And he wakes up at the end, or, you know, having a flashback of him being with his brothers. He sees April, and she's like, "Hey, it's nice to see you, Mikey." And that just gave me so much goosebumps, man, because the whole time throughout the first issue, you don't know who it is, and he's talking to these ghosts of his brothers, and Mikey, Raph, Leo, Donnie, all of them are talking to him. So Raph the least, which is why I was expecting it to be Raph, but it ends up being Mikey, which makes a lot of sense, just given the fact that the way that he was moving through the city, super reckless, stealing people's stuff, creating explosions and diversions, charging into headquarters. It was really cool, and I love to see mature Mikey just going on a rampage and causing mayhem. It was really something special. On top of that, like, he's so like beat up. Like in the second issue at the start, when he's just making some tea and stuff and you get to see his body, you're like, this guy has gone through a lot. And it's kind of crazy because April is the same. There was some kind of explosion that happened and he ended up losing an arm and a leg, I believe. Really intense stuff. Really good story so far. I can't wait for the third issue. It's going to be amazing. I just really wanted to go ahead and shed some light on this series for some of y'all. If y'all don't, and I know I feel bad already saying who it is that's the last and who it is that dies first, but you know what? It's the first 2 issues. In about a year or two, everybody who knows about the story is gonna know. Anyways, they expose who it is in the first issue, so it's really not that big of a deal. It is a really good story though. Highly recommend. Comics, fantastic. So that's really about all I have to say. I'm sorry for not uploading for a while. I had kind of got sidetracked at work. I ended up swapping to a different position, getting a lot more hours, and just been pretty tired, pretty stressed. But you know what? I ended up reading this. It gave me the inspiration to go ahead, make this next video. So just let me know what y'all want to see next. And yeah, read The Last Ronin. You will not regret it.
That's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold